Thanks, Rita. On BBC London tonight, protests in support of the family who believe mould in their home contributed to the death of their baby. An inquest is yet to conclude.
All we wanted is just a healthy environment to live.
The head of the housing association, Notting Hill Genesis, says it will continue working with the authorities as they investigate. Also on the programme, we hear from women affected by extreme sickness in pregnancy as a new exhibition opens to highlight the illness. Plus, it was the 80s heist that had the nation gripped. Hit BBC drama The Gold is back on our screens this weekend. We've got a sneak peek.
I've been here in Goodmayes Park in East London where Eid celebrations are taking place, and they'll be taking place all weekend.
Good evening, I'm Sonia Jessup. First tonight, the death of a 15-week-old baby has sparked angry protests outside the headquarters of a housing association. Akram Mohammed's parents believe that damp and mould in their flat contributed to their son's death and say Notting Hill Genesis ignored their repeated requests for repairs. The inquest is still ongoing. It's not been determined whether the mould contributed to his death. Notting Hill Genesis says it will continue to work with authorities as they investigate. Megan Owen has the story.
He was a happy, playful baby.
Yeah, happy and smiling. And always we hope in future going to be doctor. Or my son Adam, he said, oh no, we're going to be a football player.
Akram Mohammed, in his short life, brought so much joy to his family. He died in February, aged just 15 weeks, after being rushed to hospital with breathing problems.
I took him and I ran to the hospital.
So I was trying to tell myself, everything is going to be okay. So I was reciting some of Islamic words like Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, everything is going to be okay. I was trying to calm myself. And there were more than 8 doctors and more than 5 nurses around him.
The inquest has yet to conclude when the coroner will determine the cause of Akram's death. But his parents believe long-standing mould and damp in their flat were a contributing factor. The BBC has seen correspondence which shows they complained to Notting Hill Genesis multiple times. And after launching a complaint, the Housing Association admitted their standards have fallen for not being more responsive, offering £175 in compensation for a late response, lack of communication, and for being chased on damp and mould repairs.
House is mold and damp. And I've tried to explain to them many times. No one helped.
If they just fixed those issues, maybe he had a chance to live.
The family lawyer says they've been told by the coroner's office that the pathology report says the current medical cause of Akram's death is acute pneumonia and dilated cardiomyopathy, a type of heart muscle disease, although the BBC has not seen the report.
He had acute pneumonia, and we all know a person with pneumonia, he can't live in a moldy house. It's impossible, right? You couldn't breathe there. You would feel it in the air. The air was moldy. You'd feel it.
Akram's death has sparked wider outrage. Today, protesters rallied outside Notting Hill Genesis headquarters. The chief executive of Notting Hill Genesis, Patrick Franco, says we are deeply saddened by the tragic loss of Akram Mohammed and extend our sincere condolences to his family, their friends and neighbours. We will continue to support the family in any way we can during this difficult time. We know that this is a complex situation and will continue working with the relevant authorities as they conduct their investigations. No determination has been made by HM Coroner as to the cause of Akram's death, and it would therefore be inappropriate to comment further or to speculate at this time. At the centre of it all, the death of a 15-week-old baby. As we filmed the interview with his parents, his mother held the last baby grow he wore.
So I would say my baby's death was avoidable. All we wanted is just a healthy environment to live.
Megan Owen, BBC London.
Well, do stay with us. Lots more to come, including...
We've been trying to spot the fallow deer that now live in Greenwich Park. They have been a little elusive, but we are going to bring you some pictures later and some very exciting news from inside this paddock.
A father from northwest London has said the Met Police are not fit for purpose to protect young people in a digital world. Mariano Janin's daughter, Mia, took her own life in 2021 after being bullied on social media. He's told BBC London it took the force more than a year to access her phone and that they then lost the handset before finally returning it last year. He's been speaking to Matt Graveling.
Tomorrow, Mia Janin should celebrate another birthday, this time blowing out 19 candles. Instead, her father Mariano will light one in memory of his little girl.
She was a beautiful human being. She was very kind, very clever, quite academic. She was beautiful. She was a really nice girl. Quite special.
On the 12th of March 2021, Mia took her own life after being bullied at school. This clip, taken from her phone, was played at her inquest.
Tomorrow's going to be a rough day. Stand by me. I'm taking deep breaths in and out. I'm currently mentally preparing myself to get bullied tomorrow.
Tragically, while looking into her daughter's death, Mariano's wife Marisa also died of leukemia just 4 months later. Now grieving both losses, Mariano's hopes for information was with the police, who had taken Mia's phone. But Mariano says more than a year later, they still hadn't gained access. He now wants to see improvements in the way police deal with the digital world.
My situation, you lost your wife, you lost your children, you just have an empty house with a dog. And I'm looking for some explanations. This time the Metropolitan Police was not fit for the purpose of do this type of investigations.
In a statement, the Metropolitan Police said accessing Mia's phone proved challenging as it was PIN protected. The technology at our disposal was not originally capable of accessing the device. In March 2022, a specialist company managed to access the phone and extract the data. We contacted a number of social media companies, but were unable to access any information from them due to the legal frameworks in place.
We are talking about the real digital world, that we are not dealing properly with this because we don't understand. They should start to think maybe to create a department of digital crimes with young people who understand social media. I don't think this is, for my personal experience, is something that the police can deal without.
Matt Graveling, BBC London.
All time for a quick look at some of the rest of the day's news now. 3 men accused of being part of a conspiracy to target 2 homes and a car linked to the Prime Minister will face trial next April. It follows a vehicle fire in Kentish Town and 2 other fires, one at the Prime Minister's private home and one at a former address in Islington. There are now more than 2,000 zero-emission buses on the capital's roads, the largest fleet in Western Europe. Transport for London says they're improving air quality and reducing carbon emissions. It's hoping to make its entire bus fleet zero-emission by 2030. Now, in the last few hours, Tottenham Hotspur have sacked manager Ange Postecoglou 16 days after the team won the Europa League final. It's 2 years to the day since Spurs announced he would join them on a 4-year contract. BBC Radio London sports reporter Emily Herbert has more.
It comes 16 days after leading them to victory in the Europa League final. Postecoglou's record wasn't phenomenal. He'd lost 22 out of their 38 matches this season. They finished 17th, which is their worst Premier League season. However, a lot of Spurs fans were on the fence about him leaving, considering he'd brought some silverware to the club. The first bit of major silverware to Spurs in 17 years. They beat Manchester United in Bilbao by a 1-0. Of course, now all eyes will turn to who replaces him as manager of Tottenham. The early riders are Brentford's current manager Thomas Frank, former Spurs manager, now US national team coach Pochettino could make a return.
Our sports reporter Emily Herbert there, and you can get more on that story on the London Sports Show. The team are on air right now on BBC Radio London. Tune in or listen on Sounds. Next, to a condition that affects thousands of women every year. Hyperemesis gravidarum is an extreme form of sickness in pregnancy. At its worst, women can be sick up to 40 times a day, while 70% are unable to leave their beds throughout their pregnancy. And the impact on women's mental health can be devastating. One woman who suffered from the condition is trying to raise awareness of it through a new exhibition. She spoke to Layla Hayes.
Each of these women has suffered from hyperemesis gravidarum, a severe form of pregnancy sickness that often requires hospital treatment. Their faces and hidden bodies now appear in a new exhibition to highlight the condition. Rachel says it almost took over her life.
At about 6 weeks, I started vomiting, physically vomiting, and might vomit 1 or 2 times, and then I realised I'm vomiting in the afternoon, I'm vomiting in the morning, I'm vomiting in the evening, and very quickly I started vomiting sort of 20, 30 times a day.
21 women have now told their stories for the Hidden Mothers exhibition in the Science Gallery at King's College London.
These photos show the Victorian technique that was used to hide women behind fabric so that they could hold their babies still for a photo. In this exhibition, that's now being used as a metaphor for the way women with hyperemesis so often feel hidden or ignored.
Photographer Claire Hughes came up with the idea after she developed hyperemesis while pregnant with her first child.
The visual metaphor of the hidden mother very much basically became a representation of what I felt as a sufferer of HG and what I know a lot of other women did when they went through it, which was we were basically hidden away in a darkened room, hidden away from the medical professions, and our symptoms were hidden. We were kind of not even told what it was that we were going through.
Yet hyperemesis gravidarum affects around 30,000 women in the UK every year.
Of those women suffering, they're so physically and mentally unwell as a consequence of the disease that 5% will terminate a wanted pregnancy and 7% will have suicidal thoughts. That's why it's so important that all women can access good care so that they don't get that bad, because overall this is a treatable condition.
The exhibition is free and on until the 14th of June, in the hope that these women will no longer be hidden. Layla Hayes, BBC London.
And if you've been affected by any of the issues raised in that report or in our programme tonight, the BBC Action Line has details of organisations who can provide advice and support. A long weekend of celebrations begin this evening as Muslims across the capital celebrate Eid al-Adha. For many, it will involve prayers, fun and, naturally, lots of food. Here's Anna O'Neill.
Friday prayers on the first day of Eid al-Adha in London, and hundreds of people in this park are out celebrating with their families. Here in Goodmayes Park, thank goodness the rain from this morning has stopped. It's nice and sunny and everyone's celebrating. I'm with Jalal Mohabit.
Hi there.
Hello.
How are you?
He is the chair and trustee of One Eid. I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me here today.
Thank you for coming.
What was the idea behind getting this kind of celebration going here in Goodmayes Park?
Well, when I first arrived in this country from Texas back in 2000, I noticed the men were in mosques on Eid day and the women were at home and families were at home and the neighbors didn't know anything. So Eid is something really important that everyone celebrates. So I thought to my wife, can we do this? She's an architect. She said, yes, let's do this. Got some teams together, and next thing you know, we got Eid festivals everywhere in the country.
Amazing. Well, look, is it for everybody? Is it inclusive? Can anyone come along?
Yes, Eid means to feast in Islam, and twice a year, just like you have Christmas and other celebrations, Eid is a day for Muslims to share their food with others. So it's supposed to be with all people. Eid al-Fitr once and Eid al-Adha the second. It's for everyone to come out. And we're here till Sunday. Today, tomorrow and Sunday, Goodmayes Park in East London and Luton Wardown Park. So come down.
It's a chance to enjoy some fun, food and family time in the June sunshine.
It's a really fun place. You can find everything you're looking for. They have loads of rides and you can even volunteer if you want.
And are you volunteering right now?
Yes.
What are you volunteering on?
I have a stall where we're selling toys and the money will go to charity.
Every time a person sells to children, I like how happy they are after once they got their gift and how they're so grateful and stuff.
The Eid celebrations at Goodmayes Park are on until Sunday afternoon. Anna O'Neill, BBC London.
And Eid Mubarak to all those celebrating. Lots more to come, including a drama telling the story of one of London's biggest ever gold heists returns for a second series. We've got a sneak peek. It's more than a century since the writer Oscar Wilde was arrested in London for his sexual relationships with other men. Today, he's celebrated as a queer icon, and now his story has been very much reimagined. A new musical, Oscar at the Crown, is set in a post-apocalyptic nightclub, so you're about to see some flashing images, and audiences are being invited to join the party underground on Tottenham Court Road.
It's always important to make sure that you look cute before you go into a club. Just make sure you don't look busted.
Welcome to Oscar at the Crown!
Oscar at the Crown, at its heart, is a dance party musical.
We have 3 rules here. Go anywhere, go live, go wild.
It is about a group of queer other exiles who are living in an underground secret bunker.
It's a place that we have created for people who have felt othered in their lives at any point.
And they are led by a charming, talented cult leader who has developed and forced them all to put on this pageant-like show.
Spoiler alert. One of the characters is so obsessed with Oscar Wilde that he's taken on the persona of Oscar Wilde in his own way.
Oscar Wilde, of course, had all of his writing, but also at the same time, so much of what he was doing as an artist was creating this persona.
And his journey from being a worldwide phenomenon sensation to being jailed here, Clapham Junction, getting put into handcuffs and put in front of a jeering mob.
And then, well, conflict ensues because it's a piece of theater, and then at the end there is an incredible power ballad and everyone cries.
Well, from nightclubs to quiet green spaces now, because just over a month ago, deer were reintroduced to Greenwich Park. They'd all been moved to Richmond 4 years ago, but now they're back, and it's hoped we may be able to get a bit of a closer look at them in future. Let's find out more from Wendy Hurrell. Have you seen any, Wendy?
Sonia, yes, I have. We've been on deer watch all the way through the day, and just a few moments ago we got the most exciting view of these deer because there is a baby in the deer enclosure. We managed just to catch a mother and a newborn fawn just gambling through the grasses here. Tiny little sprightly thing, looking very healthy and happy, and it just goes to show how well this herd of 8 reintroduced fallow deer are settling in to their new home here in Greenwich. Well, here's the park manager, Claire Lanes. This is exciting news, and it's exclusive news for our viewers as well. I mean, you must be so pleased.
Yeah, we're over the moon. We kind of knew at the early part of this week, but because we hadn't seen the baby deer or the fawn out and about, we kind of kept it quiet. But I think a few people have actually seen the fawn today, so we're really, really pleased. And it's just testament to the fact that we've got it right in terms of the habitat, the paddock, and all the works we've done over the last year.
Yeah, and they've only just come back, haven't they? They've been here for just over a month now.
Yes, yeah, and I think the visitors are just over the moon. Obviously 4 years ago we started a project here, and the deer, for their well-being, had to be relocated to Richmond, and we've done a huge amount of work. But during that time we also did a lot of community activities and events, and our most frequently asked question is, when are the deer coming back? So we do know that they're a much loved part of Greenwich Park.
Absolutely. And what have you been doing in the meantime then to the park? Why they had to move
move out? Oh, so we were delivering a £12 million project called Greenwich Park Revealed, which was a massive improvement to all of our facilities, adding new learning centres for schools to use. We refurbed one of our old lodges into a brand new cafe, the Ignatius Sancho Cafe. We restored the Grand Ascent, which is part of the original historic landscape. And also we did a huge amount of work to the deer paddock to ensure that it was even better when the deer did return. That work included habitat restoration of the wildflower meadows through the paddock. We removed old paths and buildings so we could add additional grassland. And we enclosed a part of a woodland that wasn't originally part of their paddock, so they had somewhere for respite to go back into when they felt that they needed a little bit of shelter. So yes, that was part of it.
Yeah, and that's why we spotted them. They were going between the woods and the paddock. And so you've got dotted around the park now places where we can come and see them ourselves as well, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we refurbished those areas as well to make it easier for people to actually be able to see the deer, a bit more comfortable, and also some screening. So one of the areas is behind us.
Just behind you.
And they're within our flower garden. There's a secondary area in our wilderness, which is just through the flower garden. It's a bit bigger, there's more seating, and you get a wider expanse of the paddock, so you can enjoy the deer and the plants and the flowers and everything else that's in there. So
it's wonderful. It's wonderful, and there's a real rich history of the deer being in this park. You can just run us through it quickly, can't you?
Yeah, quick history. The park was enclosed in the 15th century, and that's when it officially became a deer park. And fallow deer were the original herd that were here. So they've been here for hundreds of years with us, and I think they're embedded in the soul of Greenwich Park.
Absolutely, and they are breeding, they are having babies.
Yes.
Thank you so much for telling us all of that. Well, you heard it here first. We have spotted the first babies born to the new herd reintroduced here at Greenwich Park. After 4 years, 8 fallow deer that have come back, and now there are baby fawns to try and spot if you're down this way in southeast London. Exciting news, Sonia.
How lovely, Wendy. Thank you very much. Well, we're taking you back to the 1980s now, when a group of armed robbers stole millions of pounds worth of gold from a security depot close to Heathrow Airport. It became known as the Brinks-Mat robbery. The heist and the events which followed are the subject of the hit BBC drama The Gold, and it's back. The second series starts this weekend. Here's Lakshmi Gopal.
Britain's biggest ever robbery. Gold bars worth £30 million are stolen near Heathrow Airport.
The Brinks-Mat robbery is still Britain's biggest bullion heist to date. In 1983, armed robbers made off with nearly 7,000 bars of gold from a security depot.
They faced just one charge, that on November the 26th...
The story gripped the nation. Every twist and turn followed in the news.
...of gold, platinum, diamonds and travellers' checks.
While some justice was served, much of the gold was never recovered. The chase to try to find it is the subject of BBC series The Gold. The second season follows the police hunt overseas, but with the capital still at its heart.
We still see every element of London, from kind of council estates to members' clubs to kind of elegant restaurants, and it is that cross-society story, but it's a London story at its heart, always is, and then it spreads from the world from there.
I played a small part, man.
Among the returning cast is Hugh Bonneville, playing Brian Boyce, head of the Scotland Yard investigation, who battles corrupt cops as well as criminals.
I think it reflects the challenges that the Met Police faced, and Brian Boyce, for example, who I interviewed many times, didn't hide from that. You know, when he talks about Brinks-Mat, that some of his challenges did come from inside the police force itself.
Where is he, Jackie? Where's Mickey?
Have you had any feedback from Mr. Boyce himself?
Yes, Mr. Boyce is very happy. We went for lunch in his club, me, him and Hugh in London, and he said he was very happy with it all, so that's a relief.
Well, being played by Hugh Bonneville, I think that's it.
Can't be bad. I wouldn't mind getting played by Hugh Bonneville, to be fair.
Exactly.
The Brinks-Mat robbery sparked a decades-long chain of events where the facts are often more compelling than fiction.
There's almost too much story. I mean, even fitting it into what will ultimately be 12 episodes of television has been a challenge. It's very, very rare to get a story so textured and unpredictable and touching so many different areas of society.
The second series of The Gold premieres on Sunday the 8th of June on BBC One and on the iPlayer. Lakshmi Gopal, BBC London.
Looks good. Time for the weather now. Let's find out how that's looking. I'm still drying out from yesterday. Elizabeth, how is it?
I know, but Sonia, today was an improvement, wasn't it? Let's face it. So a lot better weather-wise. Yes, we had a bit of wet weather through the morning, a few showers around, but this was a bit more like it, wasn't it? With the sun coming out, some sunny spells, particularly later on through the day, as seen by our weather watcher here in Kensington. Now, for the weekend, it's going to be quite mixed. Sunday is definitely the better looking day if you have got plans outdoors. On Saturday, we're talking about heavy showers with some thunderstorms, and it will still be quite breezy as well, on a par with what it was today. It's actually improved somewhat in terms of wind strength, so not quite as windy as we originally feared yesterday, but still some thunderstorms around. I'll have more on those in a moment, but it's going to turn wet overnight tonight, so all of this cloud and rain gradually sweeping in from the southwest. The winds pick up too. It's a mild start to the day tomorrow because, of course, it is going to be quite a cloudy one. Now, there is a Met Office weather warning in place for those thunderstorms. It's valid throughout the day tomorrow from 9 o'clock in the morning right through until 6 o'clock, but it's really the afternoon when we're expecting to see the heaviest downpours of rain and the thunder, the lightning, etc. Still for the morning, there'll be some cloud, there'll be some showers, then they'll start to become heavy and thunder, I think, through the afternoon. You can see the brighter colours on the map here. Watch out for some large hail, potentially, obviously some heavy downpours, quite a lot of rain within a short space of time. And, of course, the lightning, the thunder, some brighter spells in between. That will help to trigger off some of those storms, but temperatures won't make it much past 15 or 16 degrees, so disappointing for the time of year. Into Sunday, notice that we've got high pressure starting to build in and more of a northwesterly wind developing. So it's a better looking day. I've clicked on a little bit too quickly, but you can see that it's going to be largely dry. There will be some showers around, I think, at times, but they'll be fairly well scattered. We'll still see temperatures only at 16 or 17 degrees Celsius, so a little bit disappointing there, but still some decently long sunny spells around. And then a lot of high pressure into next week, so largely dry, and then it could warm up, perhaps. Sonia.
Oh, good. I think Saturday's barbecue is definitely off. Thank you, Elizabeth. Now, the main headlines. The explosive bust-up between Donald Trump and Elon Musk is still producing fireworks. The men were reportedly due to speak today, but that call is not going ahead. It all began when Mr. Musk criticised a major government spending bill, and the US president fired back. Labour has taken the seat of Hamilton, Larkhall and Stonehouse from the SNP in a closely fought by-election for the Scottish Parliament. Davy Russell won the seat with 31% of the vote. Reform UK came third, while the Conservatives were a distant fourth. And that's it for now. Join me again at 10:30 tonight for our late bulletin. Lots more over on our website, of course, including catching up with Beyoncé fans. Very excited to see her perform in Tottenham. Bye-bye.